Do those even work, old man? Or are they just for show, so people feel sorry for you? Those words echo through Providence Municipal Court. Every person in the room freezes. Some people gasp. Others cover their mouths. A woman in the back row stands up. Her face is red with anger. The man who said those words is Brendan Mitchell. He's 23 years old. He stands at the defendant's table wearing clothes that cost more than some people's cars. His Tom Ford suit is perfectly pressed. A Patek Philippe watch sits on his wrist. That watch costs $85,000. His shoes are Italian leather. They shine under the courtroom lights. His hair is styled with expensive gel. Everything about him screams money and privilege. He's looking at a man sitting in the front row. That man is Daniel Foster. Daniel is 51 years old. He sits in a wheelchair. Both of his legs are missing below the knee. He lost them in Afghanistan. A roadside bomb exploded under his vehicle. That was 11 years ago. He wears a simple jacket from Target. His hands are rough and calloused. His face shows lines from pain and hardship. But his eyes are clear. They're strong. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, no matter who their parents are, you'll want to see what happens next. Judge Frank Caprio sits at the bench. His face doesn't move, but his eyes are different now. They were calm before. Now they're cold, hard as stone. Mr. Mitchell, Judge Caprio says. His voice is quiet. Too quiet. What did you just say? Brendan shrugs. He actually shrugs. I asked a question. It's a free country, right? Or did that change when I wasn't looking? The bailiff, Officer Marcus Chun, takes a step forward. His hand moves to his belt. Judge Caprio holds up one finger. Wait. Let's go back. Let's see how we got here. 2 hours earlier, the morning session started normally. Case number 2025, TR 91847 was called. The case involved a parking violation in a handicapped space. The ticket was issued on November 3rd at the Cranston Veterans Medical Center. Daniel Foster was called as the complainant. He wheeled himself to the witness area. It took him a moment to position his wheelchair. He did it himself. He didn't ask for help. Good morning, Mr. Foster, Judge Caprio said. His voice was warm, respectful. Thank you for coming today. Good morning, Your Honor, Daniel said. His voice was steady, strong. I see from the file that you reported this violation. Can you tell the court what happened? Daniel nodded. Yes, sir. I had a doctor's appointment that day. My prosthetics needed adjustment. They were causing sores. I got to the medical center at 2:15 p.m. All the handicapped spots were full except one. But there was a car in it. A red Ferrari. It didn't have handicapped plates or a placard. I waited for 20 minutes, thinking the driver would come out. He didn't. I had to park in the regular lot. It's farther away. It took me an extra 15 minutes to get inside. I missed my appointment. I had to reschedule for 3 weeks later. Those 3 weeks were painful, sir. Every day was hard. People in the courtroom listened. Some nodded. A few looked angry. Did you see who was driving the vehicle? Judge Caprio asked. Yes, sir. When I was leaving, I saw him. A young man. He was sitting in his car, on his phone, laughing. He saw me struggling to wheel over the curb. He didn't move. He didn't offer to help. He just watched. And you took down the license plate? Yes, sir. I'm a veteran. I know the rules matter. I reported it to the VA police. They issued the ticket. Judge Caprio made notes. Thank you, Mr. Foster. I see you work at the center. Yes, sir. I'm a counselor. I help other veterans with PTSD and adjustment issues. I work 4 days a week. I also volunteer on weekends at a program for disabled children. I teach them adaptive sports. Basketball mostly. I want them to see that losing your legs doesn't mean losing your life. Someone in the gallery started clapping. Then another person. Then more. Judge Caprio didn't stop them. He let it go on for a few seconds. Then he gently tapped his gavel. That's admirable work, Mr. Foster. Please have a seat. Daniel wheeled back to the front row. The court calls Brendan Mitchell to the stand. The courtroom doors opened. Brendan walked in like he owned the building. No, like he owned the whole city. His lawyer walked beside him. The lawyer's name was Richard Blackwell. He carried a briefcase that probably cost $3,000. His suit was expensive, too. Everything about this screamed money. Brendan didn't look at Judge Caprio right away. He looked at his phone. His thumb scrolled through something. Maybe Instagram. Maybe Twitter. He was smiling at whatever he saw. Mr. Mitchell, Judge Caprio said, Please approach the bench and put your phone away. Brendan looked up. Yeah, 1 second. He didn't say, Your Honor. He didn't say, Sir. Just, yeah, 1 second. He finished whatever he was doing on his phone. Then he slid it into his pocket. He walked to the defendant's table. His lawyer pulled out the chair for him. Brendan sat down. He leaned back. He spread his arms across the back of the chair, like he was sitting in a coffee shop, not a courtroom. State your full name for the record, the clerk said. Brendan Alexander Mitchell. Age, 23. Do you understand why you're here today? Brendan sighed, like this was boring him. Something about parking. I don't really remember. I park lots of places. Judge Caprio looked at him. Really looked at him. You don't remember parking in a handicapped space at a veterans medical center? I mean, maybe. I go to a lot of places. I don't keep track of every parking spot. This was 3 weeks ago, November 3rd. A red Ferrari. License plate FRR 2023. Is that your vehicle? Oh yeah, that's mine. The Ferrari. I have a few cars. That's the one I drive when the weather's nice. You know how it is. He said this like everyone in the courtroom owned multiple luxury cars. No, Mr. Mitchell. I don't know how it is. Explain it to me. Brendan shrugged again. That was his thing. Shrugging. Like nothing mattered. It's just a car. I wanted to run inside and grab something. I was only there for like 20 minutes. You were parked in a handicapped space. A space reserved for people with disabilities. People who need those spots to access medical care. Right, but like I said, I was only there for 20 minutes. And there were other spots. People could park somewhere else. Judge Caprio's jaw tightened. People who had been in his courtroom before recognized this. It was a warning sign. Other spots that were farther away. Spots that are harder for people with disabilities to use. That's why handicapped spaces exist. They're closer. They're wider. They're designed for people who need them. Brendan waved his hand. Dismissive. Look, I get it. Rules. But sometimes you're in a hurry. I had somewhere to be. I couldn't waste time looking for another spot. You couldn't waste time, Judge Caprio repeated. His voice was flat. But Mr. Foster could waste time. He could waste time looking for a different spot. He could waste time wheeling a longer distance. He could waste time missing his medical appointment. His time doesn't matter as much as yours. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Brendan's lawyer leaned over. He whispered something in Brendan's ear, probably telling him to be quiet, to be respectful. Brendan nodded, but he didn't look like he meant it. Judge Caprio opened a folder. Let me read something to the court. This is from Officer Sarah Martinez of the VA Police. She's the one who issued the citation. She writes, at approximately 2:47 p.m., I observed the defendant sitting in his vehicle in a clearly marked handicap space. The vehicle had no visible handicap placard or plates. I approached and knocked on the window. The defendant rolled down the window approximately 2 inches. He said, and I quote, "Tell whoever complained to get over it." Then he rolled the window back up. I explained that he needed to move his vehicle immediately or he would be cited. He responded by turning up his music. I issued the citation and placed it on his windshield. The defendant then exited his vehicle, tore up the ticket, and threw the pieces on the ground. He said, "My dad's a congressman. This means nothing." Then he walked away. The courtroom was silent. People stared at Brendan. He didn't look embarrassed. He looked annoyed that this was taking so long. Is Officer Martinez's statement accurate, Mr. Mitchell? I mean, I don't remember exactly what I said. But yeah, I probably said something like that. Because it's true. My dad is Congressman Robert Mitchell. He represents this district. He's friends with the mayor, with the governor. This is a parking ticket. It's nothing. Judge Caprio set down the folder. It's nothing. Right. It's just a parking ticket. Not a big deal. Mr. Foster, would you say it's nothing? Daniel spoke from his wheelchair. With respect, Your Honor, it was a big deal to me. I was in pain. I needed medical care. This young man's convenience cost me 3 weeks of suffering. Brendan turned to look at Daniel for the first time. Really look at him. His eyes went to the wheelchair, to where Daniel's legs should be. And that's when he said it. Do those even work, old man? Or are they just for show so people feel sorry for you? The room exploded. Order. Judge Caprio's gavel came down hard. 3 times. Bang. 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 People were shouting. A man in uniform, another veteran by the look of him, stood up. You little punk, he yelled. Officer Chin moved toward him. 2 other court officers appeared from the side doors. I said order. Judge Caprio stood up. He rarely stood up. When he did, everyone knew something serious was happening. Everyone sit down. Now. The room slowly settled. People sat. But they were angry. You could feel it in the air. Heavy. Thick. Judge Caprio looked at Brendan. What did you just say? Brendan looked confused. Like he didn't understand why everyone was upset. I just asked a question. I was curious. You were curious about whether this man's prosthetic legs work. Yeah. I mean, I've never met someone with fake legs before. I wanted to know. Mr. Mitchell, do you know how Mr. Foster lost his legs? Brendan shrugged again. How would I know that? Mr. Foster, would you mind telling the court? Daniel's voice was steady. Stronger than it should be. I was a Marine, Your Honor. I served 3 tours in Afghanistan. On my 3rd tour, my convoy hit an IED, an improvised explosive device. A bomb. It was buried in the road. When it went off, it destroyed our vehicle. I lost both legs below the knee. My best friend, Corporal James Washington, was sitting next to me. He didn't make it. He died in my arms. I was 40 years old. I had a wife and 2 kids at home. I spent 8 months in the hospital. Another year learning to walk again. Learning to live again. The courtroom was dead silent. I don't tell you this because I want sympathy, Daniel continued. I tell you this because you asked. Yes, my prosthetic legs work. They work because I do 2 hours of physical therapy every week. They work because I push through pain every single day. They work because I refuse to give up. I served this country. I served so that people like him, Daniel pointed at Brendan, could live free. Could drive their fancy cars. Could park wherever they want without fear. I gave my legs for his freedom. And he mocks me for it. Tears ran down faces in the courtroom. A woman was crying openly. Even Officer Chen's eyes looked wet. Brendan sat there. His face was blank. Empty. Like he was waiting for this to be over so he could leave. Judge Caprio sat back down. Slowly. He folded his hands on the bench. Mr. Mitchell, do you have anything to say? Brendan looked at his lawyer. His lawyer nodded. Brendan cleared his throat. Look, I'm sorry if I offended anyone. That wasn't my intention. I was just curious. I didn't mean anything by it. You didn't mean anything by it. Right. It was just a question. Judge Caprio picked up another piece of paper. Let me tell you what else I have here. This is a printout from your Instagram account. It's from November 3rd. The same day you parked in that handicapped space. The timestamp says 2:30 p.m. That's right around when you were at the medical center. Would you like to read what you posted? Brendan's face changed. For the first time, he looked worried. I don't remember what I posted that day. Let me refresh your memory. You posted a photo of your Ferrari. The caption says, VIP parking at the VA, perks of being important. These people should be thanking me for even showing up. There are 3 laughing emojis. And hashtags, hashtag above the rules, hashtag privilege is real, hashtag sorry not sorry. People gasped. Again, louder this time. You posted that. Judge Caprio asked. Brendan's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Brendan nodded. I post a lot of things. It's just social media. It's not serious. It's like jokes. Jokes. You think mocking veterans is funny. No, that's not what I meant. It's social media. Everyone talks trash on social media. It doesn't mean anything. Judge Caprio turned to his clerk. Ms. Rodriguez, did we receive any phone calls about this case? The clerk nodded. She was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and glasses. She looked at her notes. Yes, Your Honor. We received 7 phone calls. 3 from Congressman Mitchell's office. 2 from a law firm called Barrett and Associates. 1 from someone claiming to be a city council member. And 1 from an assistant to the governor. And what did these callers want? They asked that the case be dismissed. They suggested that it was a minor matter that didn't require court time. 1 caller implied that it would be in the court's best interest to handle this quietly. Judge Caprio nodded. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Mr. Mitchell, did you ask these people to call on your behalf? Brendan looked at his lawyer again. The lawyer looked uncomfortable. Your Honor, I advise my client not to discuss communications with... I'm not asking you, counselor. I'm asking your client. Mr. Mitchell, did you ask your father to intervene in this case? Brendan hesitated. Then he lifted his chin. Defiant. So what if I did? He's my dad. He's supposed to help me. That's what fathers do. And he has connections. Why wouldn't I use them? Why wouldn't you use them? Judge Caprio repeated. Right. I mean, you'd do the same thing if you were in my position. No, Mr. Mitchell. I would not. Because I understand something that you apparently don't. The law applies to everyone. Rich or poor. Connected or alone. Your father's position doesn't change that. His friends don't change that. You broke the law. You parked illegally. You blocked access to medical care for someone who needed it. You disrespected a police officer. You attempted to use influence to avoid consequences. And now, in this courtroom, you've mocked a disabled veteran. A man who sacrificed more than you can imagine. Brendan rolled his eyes. Actually rolled his eyes. Here we go with the patriotic speech. Look, I respect veterans and all that. But this is about a parking spot. Can we please just move on? I'll pay the fine. Whatever it is. I have the money. Let's just end this. You'll pay the fine. Yeah. How much is it? 200? 300? I'll write a check right now. He reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a checkbook. An actual checkbook. Who uses those anymore? Rich people, apparently. He opened it up. He pulled out a pen. A Mont Blanc pen that probably cost $800. Just tell me the amount. Judge Caprio watched him. Put the checkbook away, Mr. Mitchell. Why? I'm trying to resolve this. Put it away. Now. Brendan sighed. He put it away. Fine. Whatever. Judge Caprio turned to the prosecutor. Does the state have additional evidence? The prosecutor stood up. Her name was Amanda Chun. No relation to Officer Chun. She was young, maybe 30. But she was sharp. Yes, Your Honor. We have body camera footage from Officer Martinez. We also have surveillance video from the medical center. And we have witness statements from 3 other veterans who were present that day. Let's see the body camera footage first. A screen was set up in the courtroom. Everyone could see it. The video started playing. It showed Officer Martinez walking toward the red Ferrari. The timestamp read 2:47 p.m. The car was clearly parked in a handicapped space. The blue paint on the ground was visible. The sign on the post showed the wheelchair symbol. Officer Martinez knocked on the window. The video had sound. You could hear her knock. Tap, tap, tap. The window rolled down about 2 inches. You could hear music blasting inside. Some kind of rap song. The bass was turned up so loud the camera picked it up. Sir, you're parked in a handicapped space, Officer Martinez said. Her voice was professional. Come. You need to move your vehicle. Brendan's voice came from inside the car. Tell whoever complained to get over it. The window started rolling back up. Sir, if you don't move your vehicle right now, I'll have to cite you. The window was almost closed. Then the music got louder. Much louder. You could barely hear anything else. Officer Martinez shook her head. She walked back to her vehicle. She came back with citation pad. She wrote out the ticket. She walked back to the Ferrari. She placed the ticket on the windshield under a wiper blade. A few seconds later, the driver's door opened. Brendan stepped out. He looked younger in the video. But it was definitely him. Same expensive clothes. Same cocky walk. He grabbed the ticket. He looked at it. Then he ripped it in half. Then in half again. Then again. He threw the pieces in the air. They scattered like confetti. My dad's a congressman, he said. You could hear him clearly now because he was close to the camera. This means nothing. He walked away. He didn't look back. The video ended. The courtroom was silent. Judge Caprio looked at Brendan. That was you. Yeah. So, you destroyed a legal citation. That's a separate violation. Brendan shrugged. I threw away a piece of paper. Big deal. It is a big deal. That citation is a legal document. Destroying it doesn't make it go away. It just shows your contempt for the law. Contempt, Brendan said. He laughed. Actually laughed. You want to talk about contempt? You know what I think? I think this whole thing is a waste of time. I think you're making an example out of me because of who my father is. You're probably jealous. You're probably angry that some people are more successful than you. So you're taking it out on me. The courtroom erupted again. People were shouting. Some were standing up. Officer Chun and the other court officers moved forward. Judge Caprio stood up again. His face was red now. Not embarrassed red. Angry red. Bailiff. Clear the gallery. Everyone stopped. That was serious. Clearing the gallery meant kicking everyone out. It almost never happened in Judge Caprio's courtroom. Your Honor, the prosecutor said. May I suggest a 5-minute recess instead? Judge Caprio considered this. He nodded. 5-minute recess. Everyone please step outside except the defendant, his counsel, and court staff. People filed out. They were angry. You could hear them talking in the hallway. The doors closed. The courtroom was much quieter now. Judge Caprio sat down. He looked at Brendan. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Finally, Judge Caprio said, "Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to give you one chance. One opportunity. To show me that you understand the seriousness of this situation. I want you to think very carefully. And then I want you to explain to me why you think what you did was wrong." Brendan looked at his lawyer. His lawyer nodded, encouraging him. Brendan cleared his throat. "Okay, fine. I understand that parking in a handicapped spot is against the rules. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. Why shouldn't you have done it?" "Because it's against the rules." "That's it. Because it's against the rules." Brendan looked confused. "What else do you want me to say?" "I want you to understand why the rule exists. I want you to understand the impact of your actions. Do you know why handicapped spaces are protected by law? Because disabled people need them. Why do they need them? Because they can't walk as far. Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Foster can't walk at all. He uses a wheelchair and prosthetic legs. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how much energy it takes to wheel yourself across a parking lot? Do you know how painful it is when your prosthetics don't fit right and you have to travel farther than necessary?" Brendan said nothing. "I don't think you do. I don't think you've ever thought about anyone's needs but your own. I don't think you've ever struggled, ever sacrificed, ever gone without something you wanted." "That's not fair," Brendan said. "You don't know me." "You're right. I don't know you. But I know what you've shown me today. You've shown me someone who thinks rules don't apply to him. Someone who uses his father's position to avoid consequences. Someone who mocks a wounded veteran. Someone who has no respect for this court or the law. Am I wrong?" Brendan's face was red now too. But not from embarrassment. From anger. "You know what? Fine. You want the truth. I'll give you the truth. Yes, I parked in that spot. Yes, I knew it was handicapped. And you know what? I didn't care. Because I was in a hurry. Because my time is valuable. Because I have places to be and people to see. And yes, some old guy in a wheelchair had to park farther away. That sucks for him. But that's life. Life isn't fair. Some people are born lucky. Some people aren't. I was born lucky. I have money. I have connections. I have opportunities. That's not my fault. I didn't make the rules of how the world works. I just live by them." Judge Caprio stared at him. "You just live by them?" "Yeah. And you know what else? My dad will have this whole thing thrown out by the end of the day. One phone call. That's all it takes. So this whole thing? It's pointless. You're wasting my time. You're wasting your time. Let's just skip to the end where I walk out of here and nothing happens." Judge Caprio was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Mr. Mitchell, do you know what my job is?" "You're a judge." "That's right. I'm a judge. Do you know what that means?" "You decide cases." "I decide what's fair, what's just, what's right. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've seen thousands of people come through this courtroom. Rich people, poor people, educated people, people who never finished school, young people, old people, people who made mistakes, people who got unlucky, people who did terrible things, people who did good things. And in all that time, I've learned something. Do you want to know what it is?" Brendan didn't answer. "I've learned that how you treat people when you have power over them shows who you really are. You had power over Mr. Foster. Not legal power, but practical power. You had a car. You had mobility. You had options. He didn't. He needed that parking space. You didn't. You just wanted it because it was convenient. And when someone told you no, when someone said you couldn't have it, you got angry. You got defensive. You used your privilege as a weapon. That tells me everything I need to know about you." "Whatever," Brendan muttered. "What was that?" "I said whatever. Are you done with your lecture? Can I go now?" Judge Caprio's eyes went cold again. Ice cold. "Oh, Mr. Mitchell, we're just getting started." He turned to his clerk. "Ms. Rodriguez, bring everyone back in." The doors opened. People filed back into the courtroom. They sat down. The energy in the room was different now. Tense. Waiting. Judge Caprio picked up his gavel. He didn't hit it yet. He just held it. "This court finds the defendant, Brendan Mitchell, guilty of illegal parking in a handicapped space in violation of Rhode Island General Law 31-24-3. The court also finds the defendant guilty of destruction of a legal citation in violation of Rhode Island General Law December 7, 10. The court also finds the defendant in contempt of court for his behavior and statements made during these proceedings. Brendan sat up straighter. Wait, what? Mr. Mitchell, you asked me if we were done. We're not done. Not by a long shot. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen now. And I want you to listen very carefully. Because unlike your father's phone calls, what I say in this courtroom actually matters. Brendan's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, may I have a moment to consult with my client? You may not. Sit down, counselor. The lawyer sat down. He looked worried. Judge Caprio continued. First, the financial penalties. For the illegal parking, the fine is $500. For destruction of a citation, the fine is $1,000. For contempt of court, the fine is $2,500. That's a total of $4,000. Do you have that in your checkbook, Mr. Mitchell? Brendan nodded. Yeah, that's nothing. I thought you might say that. So let me add something. The court is also ordering you to pay restitution to Mr. Foster. He missed his medical appointment because of your actions. He had to reschedule. That caused him pain and suffering. The court orders you to pay $5,000 in restitution to compensate for that harm. So now we're at $9,000. Still nothing. Brendan's jaw was tight, but he nodded. I can pay it. Good. Second, license suspension. Your driver's license is hereby suspended for 180 days. 6 months. You will not drive during that time. If you're caught driving, you'll be arrested. What? Brendan stood up. You can't do that. I need my car. Sit down, Mr. Mitchell. I need to drive. I have places to go. Sit down. Officer Chen moved forward. Brendan sat down. His face was bright red now. You need to drive, Judge Caprio said. Mr. Foster needs to walk. We don't always get what we need. You'll learn that. Which brings me to the third part of your sentence. Community service. Brendan's lawyer leaned over. He whispered something. Brendan shook his head. No. The lawyer whispered more urgently. Brendan finally nodded. How many hours? Brendan asked. His voice was quieter now. He was starting to understand this was real. 300 hours. 300. That's insane. That's like 7 weeks of full-time work. Actually, it's 7.5 weeks. But you'll be doing it on evenings and weekends, so it doesn't interfere with any job you might have. Although I suspect you don't work, do you, Mr. Mitchell? Brendan said nothing. I thought not. Here's what those 300 hours will look like. You will report to the Providence Veterans Medical Center, the same place where you parked illegally. You will work under the supervision of the facility manager. Your duties will include wheelchair transport. That means pushing veterans in wheelchairs from a parking lot to the building and back. You will do this rain or shine, hot or cold. You will also assist with loading and unloading patients from medical transport vehicles. You will help clean wheelchairs and maintain mobility equipment. You will stock supplies in the physical therapy department where veterans like Mr. Foster learn to use their prosthetic limbs. And you will do all of this wearing a vest, a bright orange vest. And on the back of that vest will be printed in large black letters, Community Service. So everyone who sees you will know why you're there. The courtroom was dead silent. People stared at Brendan. His face had gone pale. White as paper. Your Honor, his lawyer said. This is excessive. My client. Your client mocked a disabled veteran. In my courtroom. To his face. After parking in his spot and causing him physical pain. This is not excessive. This is merciful. The lawyer sat down. Fourth, Judge Caprio continued. Written apology. You will write a letter of apology to Mr. Foster. It must be at least 1,000 words. It must be handwritten, not typed, not dictated. You will write it yourself. You will explain what you did wrong, why it was wrong, what you learned, and how you plan to be better. This letter will be submitted to the court for review. If I determine it's insincere or inadequate, you'll write it again, and again, until you get it right. Brendan looked like he might throw up. Fifth, public accountability. You posted on social media about this incident. You mocked the situation. You bragged about parking illegally. So now you'll post again. You will create a video. In that video, you will explain what you did. You will apologize. You will discuss what you learned. This video will be at least 3 minutes long. You will post it to the same accounts where you posted your original message. It will remain posted for at least 1 year. The court will monitor your accounts to ensure compliance. You can't make me post on social media, Brendan said. That's a violation of my free speech. I'm not making you do anything. This is part of your sentence. You can accept it, or you can reject it and face additional penalties, including jail time. Your choice. Brendan said nothing. 6th. Education. You will attend a series of classes. First, you will complete a course on disability awareness. This is a 12-week program offered through the VA. You will attend every session. You will participate. You will learn what life is like for people with disabilities. You will also complete 20 hours of community service, specifically at the adaptive sports program where Mr. Foster volunteers. You will help set up equipment. You will assist with coaching. You will learn from people who have overcome challenges you can't imagine. Judge Caprio paused. He took a drink of water. Then he continued. 7th. Probation. You are hereby placed on supervised probation for 18 months. You will meet with a probation officer monthly. You will submit to random check-ins. You will provide proof of completion for all aspects of your sentence. If you violate any term of your probation, you will be brought back before this court. And I promise you, Mr. Mitchell, you don't want to come back here. Brendan's hands were shaking. Actually shaking. His expensive watch rattled against the table. 8th. And this is the part one thing you'll remember most. Your contempt of court charge carries a penalty of up to 30 days in jail. I'm going to give you 15 days. But I'm going to suspend that sentence. Do you know what that means? Brendan shook his head. It means you don't go to jail today. But that 15 days hangs over your head. If you violate any term of your probation, if you fail to complete your community service, if you drive on a suspended license, if you post anything disrespectful about this case or Mr. Foster or this court, those 15 days activate immediately. No hearing. No appeal. You go directly to jail. Do you understand? Yes, Brendan whispered. I can't hear you. Yes, Your Honor. Good. Now there's one more thing. Mr. Foster, would you please stand? Or, I'm sorry, we'll forward. Daniel wheeled himself forward. He positioned his chair so he was facing Brendan. Mr. Mitchell, stand up. Brendan stood. He couldn't look at Daniel. He stared at the floor. Look at him, Judge Caprio said. Brendan slowly lifted his eyes. This is the man you mocked. This is the man whose suffering you caused. This is the man who served his country while you were living off your father's money. I want you to look at him. Really look at him. And I want you to think about what he gave up so you could live free. Brendan looked at Daniel. For the first time, he really saw him. Not just the wheelchair. Not just the missing legs. But the man. The person. The human being who had hopes and dreams and pain and courage. Daniel spoke. His voice was calm. Strong. Young man, I don't hate you. I pity you. Because you've lived 23 years and you still don't know what matters. You think money matters. You think connections matter. You think privilege matters. But none of that means anything. What matters is how you treat people. What matters is whether you use your advantages to help others or hurt them. What matters is whether you leave the world better than you found it. I hope you learn that. I really do. Because right now, you're wasting your life. And that's sadder than any parking ticket. Tears ran down Brendan's face. Real tears. Not fake tears to get out of trouble. Real genuine tears. His shoulders shook. He tried to speak, but couldn't. Daniel wheeled backward. He returned to his spot in the front row. Judge Caprio looked at Brendan. Do you have anything to say? Brendan tried to talk. His voice cracked. I'm sorry, he managed. I'm so sorry. Sorry isn't enough. Not yet. But maybe if you do the work, if you complete your sentence with humility and genuine effort, maybe it will be. Maybe you'll become someone who understands what Mr. Foster tried to teach you today. Judge Caprio picked up his gavel. This court is adjourned. He brought the gavel down. Bang. Officer Chin approached Brendan. Sir, I need you to come with me. We need to process your paperwork. Brendan nodded. He wiped his eyes. He followed the officer toward a side door. As he passed Mr. Foster, he stopped. Sir, Daniel held up his hand. Save it. Show me with your actions. Words are easy. Brendan nodded. He kept walking. The courtroom slowly emptied. People talked quietly. A news reporter was on her phone. This would be on the local news tonight. Maybe national news. Judge Caprio sat alone at the bench for a moment. He made some notes in the file. Then he closed it. He stood up. He walked toward his chambers. Ms. Rodriguez, the clerk, stopped him. "Judge, that was something." "It was necessary," he said. "Do you think he'll actually learn?" "I don't know. But I gave him the chance. That's all we can do." He disappeared into his chambers. The door closed behind him. 3 months passed. Brendan Mitchell showed up to the Providence Veterans Medical Center every Tuesday and Thursday evening. And every Saturday and Sunday morning. He wore his orange vest. Community service printed across the back in big black letters. At first, he was terrible at it. He didn't know how to push a wheelchair properly. He went too fast or too slow. He hit door frames. He was awkward and uncomfortable. The veterans noticed. They didn't say much, but they noticed. Brendan also had to help in the physical therapy department. That was the hardest part. He watched veterans learning to use prosthetic limbs. He saw the pain on their faces. He heard them cry out when the prosthetics rubbed wrong. He saw them fall. Get back up. Fall again. Get back up again. One day, about 6 weeks into his service, he was helping a veteran named Marcus. Marcus was 27 years old. He'd lost his right leg in Iraq. He was learning to walk with a prosthetic. Marcus fell. Hard. He hit the mat with a thud that echoed through the room. Brendan rushed over. "Are you okay?" Marcus was breathing hard. His face showed pain. "Yeah, I'm good. Help me up." Brendan helped him stand. Marcus balanced on his good leg and the prosthetic. He took a breath. Then another step. He fell again. This time, Brendan was ready. He caught him. "I got you." Marcus looked at him. Really looked at him. "Thanks, man." "How do you do this?" Brendan asked. "How do you keep trying when it's this hard?" Marcus smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "Because what's my other option? Give up? Stay in a wheelchair forever? Nah, this is hard, but giving up is harder. At least this way, I'm moving forward." Something clicked in Brendan's brain. Moving forward. That's what this was about. Not just for Marcus. For him too. After that day, something changed. Brendan started paying attention. Really paying attention. He learned veterans' names. He asked about their lives. Their families. Their stories. He met Sarah, a 33-year-old Army medic who lost both arms in an explosion. She was learning to use prosthetic hands. Brendan watched her spend 40 minutes trying to pick up a pencil. When she finally did it, she cried. So did Brendan. He met James, a 55-year-old Navy veteran who was paralyzed from the waist down. James had been in a wheelchair for 12 years. He never complained. He told jokes. He encouraged younger veterans. He called Brendan son, even though Brendan was there on court order. Brendan also started working at the adaptive sports program. Mr. Foster ran that program. The first day Brendan showed up, there was tension. Mr. Foster didn't smile. He just handed Brendan a clipboard. "You're on equipment duty," Mr. Foster said. "Set up the basketball hoops. Check the wheelchairs. Make sure everything's safe." "Yes, sir," Brendan said. "Don't call me sir. I work for a living. Call me Daniel." Brendan nodded. "Yes, Daniel." For weeks they barely spoke. Brendan did his job. Daniel supervised. That was it. But slowly things thawed. Brendan started arriving early. He'd have the equipment set up before Daniel got there. He'd make sure the wheelchairs were clean and working. He'd organize the balls and cones. One day, Daniel wheeled over to him. "You're doing good work." Brendan looked up. "Thank you." "I mean it. This stuff matters. These kids look forward to this program all week. You're helping make that happen." Brendan felt something in his chest. Pride, maybe. Real pride. Not the fake pride he felt when he bought expensive things. But pride from actually doing something good. "Can I ask you something?" Brendan said. "Go ahead." "Why are you being nice to me? After what I said. What I did. You should hate me." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "I could hate you. That would be easy. But hate doesn't fix anything. It just makes two people miserable instead of one. You did something wrong. You're paying for it. You're learning from it. That's how it should work. I don't deserve your kindness. Maybe not. But I'm giving it anyway. That's my choice. Just like parking in that handicapped spot was your choice. Just like mocking my legs was your choice. We all make choices. Mine is to give you a chance. Don't waste it." Brendan felt tears in his eyes. Again. He cried more in the last 3 months than he had in his entire life. "I won't. I promise." "Good. Now come on. Kids will be here in 10 minutes. Let's get ready. They worked together, setting up, preparing. When the kids arrived, Brendan watched Daniel transform. He became more than a counselor. He became a coach, a mentor, a hero. The kids loved him. They raced to him in their wheelchairs. They hugged him. They showed him what they'd been practicing. Brendan saw what real strength looked like. It wasn't money. It wasn't connections. It was getting up every day when your body hurt and still choosing to help others. After 150 hours of community service, Brendan had a review hearing. This wasn't his final hearing. Just to check in. Judge Caprio wanted to see how things were going. Brendan stood in the same courtroom, at the same table. But he looked different now. He wore simple clothes, jeans, a plain sweater, no designer brands, no jewelry except a simple watch. His hair was normal, not styled with expensive gel. Judge Caprio looked at him. Mr. Mitchell, how are you? I'm okay, Your Honor. Thank you for asking. I've received reports from the VA. They say you've been exemplary. Perfect attendance, positive attitude, going above and beyond. Is that accurate? I'm trying, Your Honor. I really am. Why? Brendan thought about this. Because it's the right thing to do. Because those people deserve respect. Because I was wrong. About everything. Judge Caprio nodded. Tell me what you've learned. Brendan took a deep breath. I learned that I was living in a bubble. A bubble made of money and privilege. I thought that bubble was the real world. But it's not. The real world is full of people who struggle, who fight, who sacrifice. And I was so focused on myself that I never saw them. I never cared about them. That was wrong. That was cruel. And I'm ashamed of who I was. Who are you now? I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be someone who uses whatever advantages I have to help people instead of hurt them. I'm trying to be someone my mom would be proud of. Your mom. She died when I was 10. Cancer. She was kind. She volunteered at shelters. She helped people. I forgot that. I forgot her. My dad gave me money and things, but he didn't give me values. I let that turn me into someone terrible. But I'm trying to change. I know it won't happen overnight. I know I have a long way to go. But I'm trying. The courtroom was quiet. Judge Caprio made some notes. Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to say something I don't say often. I'm proud of you. Brendan's eyes widened. I'm proud of the work you've done. I'm proud of the effort you've made. I'm proud that you're taking this seriously. Keep doing what you're doing. Complete your service. Learn everything you can. And maybe, just maybe, you'll become the man your mother hoped you'd be. Thank you, Your Honor. That means more than you know. You have 150 hours left. Don't waste them. I won't. I promise. Brendan left the courtroom. He went straight back to the VA. He had work to do. 4.5 months after his sentencing, Brendan completed his final hour of community service. The staff at the VA threw him a small party. Nothing fancy. Just cake and coffee in the break room. Marcus was there. Sarah was there. James was there. Daniel was there. About 20 veterans total. People Brendan had come to know, to care about. They gave him a plaque. It was simple. Cheap probably. But it meant everything. Brendan Mitchell, it read. For 300 hours of dedicated service to veterans. Thank you for your humility, your hard work, and your heart. Brendan cried when they gave it to him. He hugged people. He thanked them. He told them they'd changed his life. You changed your own life, Daniel said. We just gave you the opportunity. I don't want to stop, Brendan said. What do you mean? I mean, I've finished my court-ordered hours. But I don't want to stop coming. Can I keep volunteering? The room erupted in applause. Daniel smiled. You're always welcome here. The final hearing was scheduled for early March. 5 months after the original sentencing. The courtroom was packed again. But the energy was different now. People weren't angry. They were curious. Brendan entered with his lawyer. But he also brought Daniel. And Marcus. And Sarah. And James. They sat in the front row behind him. Judge Caprio took the bench. Case number 2025, TR 91847. The court calls Brendan Mitchell for final review and sentencing completion hearing. Brendan stood. Present, Your Honor. Mr. Mitchell, you've completed 300 hours of community service. You've attended all required classes. You've paid all fines and restitution. You've submitted your written apology and public video. You've complied with all terms of your probation. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. I've reviewed your case file. I've read your apology letter. I've watched your video. I've received letters from the VA staff, from Mr. Foster, and from others who've worked with you. I must say, Mr. Mitchell, I'm impressed. Thank you, Your Honor. Tell the court what you've learned. Brendan took a deep breath. He'd prepared for this. But now, standing here, he wanted to speak from his heart, not from notes. Your Honor, 5 months ago, I stood in this courtroom as the worst version of myself. I was arrogant. I was cruel. I was blind to everyone's struggles but my own. I mocked a man who sacrificed more than I could comprehend. I thought money and connections made me special. I was wrong about everything. He turned to look at Daniel. Mr. Foster taught me what real strength looks like. It's not money. It's not power. It's getting up every day when your body hurts and choosing to help others anyway. It's sacrificing your comfort for someone else's safety. It's serving your country knowing you might lose everything. He turned back to Judge Caprio. I learned that privilege is a responsibility, not a right. I was born lucky. That's not an achievement. It's an accident. What matters is what I do with that luck. Do I use it to help people? Or do I use it to hurt them? For 23 years, I hurt people. Maybe not physically, but through carelessness, through cruelty, through indifference. I'm done with that. I'm committing my life to being better. Those are good words, Mr. Mitchell. But words are easy. Actions are hard. How will you turn those words into actions? I've enrolled in a community college. I'm studying social work. I want to work with veterans. I want to help people like Mr. Foster, like Marcus, like Sarah and James. I want to spend my life paying back the debt I owe. You've also continued volunteering at the VA even after completing your required hours. Why? Because it stopped being a punishment. It became a privilege. Those people taught me more in 5 months than I learned in 23 years. I'm not ready to walk away from that. Judge Caprio nodded. He looked at Daniel. Mr. Foster, would you like to address the court? Daniel wheeled forward. Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. He positioned himself between the bench and Brendan. Your Honor, 5 months ago, I was angry. Hurt. This young man had mocked something I couldn't control. Something I'd sacrificed. I wanted justice. I got it. But I also got something I didn't expect. I got to watch someone transform. Daniel turned to Brendan. You're not the same person who walked into this courtroom. You've worked harder than most volunteers. You've shown up even when it was hard. Even when it hurt. Even when you were tired. You've earned my respect. More importantly, you've earned the respect of every veteran you've served. That's worth more than any apology. Brendan wiped his eyes. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for taking it. Judge Caprio let them have their moment. Then he spoke. This court finds that the defendant, Brendan Mitchell, has completed all terms of his sentence. His probation is hereby terminated early due to exceptional compliance and genuine rehabilitation. His driver's license suspension is lifted effective immediately. The 15-day suspended jail sentence is vacated and removed from his record. Brendan's shoulders sagged with relief. However, Judge Caprio continued, I want to say something to you, Mr. Mitchell. You've been given a gift. Not the gift of wealth. You already had that. Not the gift of privilege. You already had that too. You've been given the gift of perspective. The gift of understanding. The gift of seeing beyond yourself. Most people go their whole lives without that gift. Don't waste it. I won't, Your Honor. I promise. I believe you. This court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Bang. People applauded. Actually applauded in the courtroom. Judge Caprio smiled. He rarely smiled during proceedings. But today he did. Brendan hugged his lawyer. Then he turned to the veterans. They stood or wheeled forward. He hugged each of them. Marcus. Sarah. James. Finally, Daniel. Thank you for saving my life, Brendan whispered. You saved your own life, Daniel said. I just helped you see it was worth saving. They held the hug for a moment. Then separated. The courtroom cleared. People filed out. The news reporters got their footage. The story would run on every local station that night. Some national stations, too. But the real story wasn't about punishment. It wasn't about a privileged kid getting humiliated. It was about transformation. About growth. About what happens when accountability meets opportunity. 2 years later, Brendan Mitchell graduated from community college with honors. He got his bachelor's degree in social work. He got a job at the Providence VA. Not as community service. As staff. His job was to coordinate volunteer programs, to match volunteers with veterans who needed help, to create opportunities for people to serve. He was good at it, really good, because he understood both sides. He understood the volunteers who wanted help but didn't know how, and he understood the veterans who needed help but didn't want to ask. He still volunteered at the adaptive sports program every weekend. He and Daniel became friends. Real friends. They had coffee every Tuesday morning before work. They talked about life, about struggles, about hopes. Brendan dated. Eventually he met someone. Her name was Rachel. She was a teacher at an elementary school for kids with special needs. She was kind. She was humble. She reminded him of what his mother must have been like. They got married a year later. Daniel was in the wedding party. So were Marcus and Sarah and James. The ceremony was small, simple, nothing fancy, just people who mattered. Brendan's father attended. Congressman Mitchell. He'd been distant after the court case. Embarrassed, probably. But slowly, he and Brendan rebuilt their relationship. It was different now. Not based on money or expectations. Based on honesty. On respect. At the wedding reception, Congressman Mitchell gave a toast. "My son taught me something," he said. "He taught me that real strength isn't about power. It's about service. It's about using whatever you have to help others. I'm proud of the man he's become, and I'm grateful to everyone who helped him get there." He looked at Daniel. "Especially you, Mr. Foster. You gave my son something I couldn't. You gave him purpose." Daniel raised his glass. "Your son gave himself purpose. I just pointed him in the right direction." They drank. They celebrated. It was a good night. 5 years after his court case, Brendan started a nonprofit. It was called Second Chances. The mission was simple: connect young people who'd made mistakes with veterans who could mentor them. Give them the same opportunity he'd received. The same chance to grow. To change. To become better. The program grew quickly. Dozens of young people went through it. Then hundreds. Some were court-ordered, like Brendan had been. Others volunteered. All of them left changed. Judge Caprio became an advisor to the program. He helped connect the nonprofit with the court system. He helped identify young people who would benefit from the program. One day, Brendan invited Judge Caprio to speak at fundraiser. The judge agreed. At the event, Judge Caprio told Brendan's story. He explained what had happened in that courtroom 6 years earlier. He talked about anger and privilege and transformation. "I've been a judge for over 40 years, he said. "I've sentenced thousands of people. Most of them I never see again. A few come back because they didn't learn. They repeat their mistakes. But every once in a while, someone truly changes. Brendan Mitchell is one of those people. He could have stayed angry. He could have used his privilege to avoid consequences. He could have learned nothing. Instead, he chose to grow. He chose to become someone who makes the world better. That's the goal of justice. Not punishment. Transformation. And Brendan is proof that it works." The crowd applauded. Brendan stood up. He hugged Judge Caprio. "Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for proving me right." That night, Second Chances raised over $200,000. The money went to expand the program, to reach more young people, to save more lives. Brendan thought about that courtroom often. About the moment he said those terrible words to Daniel. About the shame he felt, the anger, the fear. He thought about how that moment, that terrible moment, became the turning point of his life. He thought about the 300 hours he spent at the VA, the veterans he met, the lessons he learned, the person he became. He thought about his mom, about how she would feel if she could see him now. He hoped she'd be proud. 10 years after his court case, Brendan received an award. The Rhode Island Governor's Award for Community Service. It was presented at a ceremony in the State House. Governor Martinez stood at the podium. "Brendan Mitchell could have been a statistic," she said. "A young man who had everything and learned nothing, who used his privilege as a weapon, who hurt people and faced no consequences. But that's not what happened, because one judge had the courage to hold him accountable, and one veteran had the grace to forgive him, and one young man had the strength to change. Today we honor that change. We honor the work Brendan has done, the lives he's touched, the difference he's made." Brendan walked to the stage. He accepted the award. A crystal plaque. Heavy and beautiful. He looked out at the crowd. Daniel was there. In his wheelchair. In the front row. Smiling. Proud. Brendan spoke without notes. "I don't deserve this award. Not really. Because everything good I've done came from a terrible moment. A moment when I was cruel. When I was wrong. When I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I'm here because Judge Caprio gave me consequences. Because Daniel Foster gave me grace. Because veterans at the Providence VA gave me education. Because I was given a second chance. That's what this award represents. Not my achievement, but the power of second chances. The power of accountability. The power of forgiveness. If you want to honor me, don't put my name on a plaque. Instead, give someone else a second chance. Hold people accountable, but also give them the opportunity to grow. That's what justice looks like. That's what changed my life. And that's what can change the world. The crowd stood. They applauded. Some people cried. Daniel wheeled up to the stage. Brendan came down to meet him. They embraced. I'm proud of you, son, Daniel said. I wouldn't be here without you. Yes, you would. You'd just be here as a different person. I'm glad you're this person instead. They stayed like that for a moment. The photographer captured it. That photo would run in newspapers across the state. It would become the symbol of the Second Chances program. Two men. Different ages. Different backgrounds. Different struggles. But connected by a moment of accountability and grace. Years passed. Brendan kept working. Kept serving. Kept growing. He had 2 kids. A daughter and a son. He taught them about service. About humility. About using whatever advantages they had to help others. He never forgot where he came from. Never forgot who he used to be. Never forgot the lesson he learned in that courtroom. One day, his daughter asked him a question. She was 8 years old. Smart and curious. Daddy, why do you work with veterans? Brendan thought about how to answer. Because they taught me something important. What did they teach you? They taught me that real strength isn't about money or power. It's about getting up when life knocks you down. It's about helping others even when you're hurting. It's about sacrifice and service and courage. Did you used to think it was about money? Brendan smiled sadly. Yes, I did. I was wrong. How did you learn you were wrong? A very wise man in a wheelchair taught me. His name is Daniel. You've met him. He comes to dinner sometimes. Uncle Daniel. That's right. Uncle Daniel. He's a hero. And he showed me how to be better. His daughter thought about this. Can I meet more veterans? Of course. We'll go to the VA this weekend. You can help me with the adaptive sports program. Okay. She ran off to play. Brendan watched her go. He thought about his own childhood. About the lessons he didn't learn. About the values he didn't develop. He was determined that his kids would be different. Would be better. Would understand what really mattered. That night, he called Daniel. They talked for an hour. About life. About work. About family. About everything and nothing. At the end of the call, Brendan said, Daniel, I never thanked you properly. For what? For not giving up on me. For seeing something in me that I couldn't see in myself. Brendan, I told you before. You did the hard work. You changed yourself. I just gave you the opportunity. Maybe. But without that opportunity, I'd be lost. I'd still be that person. That terrible person who mocked you. Who hurt you. I'd be wasting my life. But you're not. You're living a good life. You're making a difference. That's all that matters. I learned from the best. They said goodbye. Brendan hung up. He sat in his living room. In his modest house. In his normal life. And he felt grateful. Deeply, truly grateful. Not for his privilege. Not for his money. Not for his connections. But for the moment he lost everything. The moment he was held accountable. The moment he was given a choice. Stay the same or change. He chose to change. And that made all the difference. Judge Frank Caprio retired eventually. After more than 40 years on the bench. At his retirement party, people told stories. Lawyers. Defendants. Prosecutors. Court staff. Everyone. When it was Brendan's turn, he stood up. He looked at the judge. This man who had changed his life with tough love and high expectations. Judge Caprio, you sentenced me to 300 hours of community service 10 years ago. I've now completed over 15,000 hours. Not because I had to, because I wanted to, because you showed me a different path. A better path. You didn't just punish me. You educated me. You transformed me. And I'm grateful every single day. Judge Caprio stood up. He hugged Brendan. You made my job worthwhile, he said. This is what justice is supposed to do. This is why I became a judge. The room erupted in applause. That moment, that connection between judge and defendant, represented everything the legal system should be. Not just punishment. Not just consequences, but rehabilitation, growth, transformation. Money can buy many things. It can buy cars and clothes and houses and watches. It can buy comfort and convenience and luxury. But it cannot buy back time. It cannot undo harm. It cannot purchase respect. It cannot create character. It cannot build integrity. And in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, it definitely could not buy justice. Brendan learned that lesson the hard way. Through shame and struggle and service. Through 300 hours of pushing wheelchairs and cleaning equipment and listening to stories of sacrifice. He learned that privilege isn't something to flaunt. It's something to share. That advantages aren't for showing off. They're for lifting others up. That being born lucky isn't an achievement. It's a responsibility. He learned that the people who have the least often give the most. That the people who've suffered the most often have the biggest hearts. That strength comes not from avoiding hardship, but from overcoming it. Most importantly, he learned that it's never too late to change. Never too late to become better. Never too late to make things right. His story spread. It became famous. Not because of the punishment, but because of the transformation. Because people wanted to believe that change was possible. That redemption was real. That second chances worked. Schools used his case in classes. They taught students about privilege and accountability and growth. They showed that mistakes don't define you, but your response to those mistakes does. Brendan spoke at dozens of schools, hundreds of events. He told his story over and over, not because he was proud of what he did, but because he hoped others could learn from it, could avoid making the same mistakes, could understand the lesson earlier than he did. Every time he spoke, he ended the same way. I was given a second chance. Not everyone gets that. If you get one, take it. Do the work. Face the consequences. Learn the lesson. Become better. Because the world needs better people. It needs people who understand that we're all connected, that how we treat others matters. That privilege is a responsibility, not a right. Be that person. Starting today. Don't wait until you're forced to change. Choose to change now. That message resonated. Young people heard it. They shared it. They lived it. And somewhere in a courtroom in Providence, Judge Frank Caprio smiled. Because justice had worked exactly as it should. Not perfectly, but effectively. Not through cruelty, but through accountability and opportunity. One man mocked a veteran's legs. A judge held him accountable. And a veteran showed him grace. That combination, that powerful combination of consequences and compassion, changed everything. It changed a young man's life. It changed his family. It changed the hundreds of people he went on to serve. It changed the thousands of people who heard his story and decided to be better. One moment, one terrible moment, became the catalyst for decades of positive change. That's the power of justice. Real justice. The kind that transforms instead of just punishes. The kind that builds instead of just tears down. The kind that believes in second chances while still demanding accountability. That's what happened in Judge Caprio's courtroom that day. And that's what continues to happen every day when people choose to hold others accountable while also offering them the chance to grow. Brendan Mitchell was given that chance. He took it. He ran with it. He spent the rest of his life earning it. And in doing so, he proved that anyone can change. Anyone can grow. Anyone can become better. All it takes is consequences, opportunity, and the courage to do the hard work of transformation. That's the lesson. That's the legacy. That's what happens when justice works the way it's supposed to.